Hello, my name is Trinity PRO. Today I will be giving the case for the pro side. Free education is a right to all citizens. Should have access to, not just because it is better for the nation, but as a whole. It also maintains the equality and freedom our country strives to protect. For this reason, me and my partner have resolved undergraduate public colleges and universities in the U.S. should be tuition free. Point 1. Free tuition will lead to a less student debt and a better economy. Student debt in the U.S. is rising. In 2005, it was approximately $1.3 trillion, 39% more than previous years. 10 million students in the years 2012 and 2013 took out student loans. This is a big problem. Free college would eliminate a large percentage of this issue. Other countries who have implemented free college have proven for this to be true. For instance, Finland. Finland's student debt average per student is $1,200 versus the United States, with $15,500. In the Time magazine article on January 11, 2016, Mark can't pronounce his last name, wrote that student loan debt is increasing because government grants and support for post-secondary education have failed to keep pace with the increase in college costs. This has shifted much of the burden of paying for college of federal and state governments for families. This shows a gradual change from money coming from this government to money coming straight from a student's pocket, which leads to greater debt. Student debt extended beyond school and it affects our economy. As Congressman Alyson said, our students and graduates currently owe $1.2 trillion due over the high cost of tuition and high student loan interest rates. It's stopping many graduates from buying houses, starting businesses, or in many cases, even moving out of their parents' home. It stops them from fully participation in our economy, which was all of us. Free tuition would stop this serious problem and would help keep our economy afloat. Point 2. Free tuition provides equal opportunities for lower-income families. Every American should be able to reach his or her potential. As Thomas Jefferson said, all men are created equal. American is about freedom and equality, and to deny someone the right to equal opportunities goes against the very foundation of our country. This is what we are doing by not implementing free college. Lower-income families deserve the right to free higher education. Instead, as a result of the current system, students are confined to their social classes. As a report from the Department of the Treasury and a Board of Education states, education enhances intergenerational mobility, the ability of children to move up and down our economic ladder independent of their parents' economic status. Without a college degree, children are born in the lowest income quintile have a 45% chance of remaining at the bottom quintile, as adults have nearly 70% chance of ending up in the bottom 2 quintiles. With a college degree, children born in the bottom quintile have less than a 20% chance of staying at the bottom quintile. Of the income distribution, and about an equal chance of staying in any other high income quintiles. Not only does free tuition allow students to be anything they want to, it also allows them to escape the confines of their social class, which will lead to a richer and happier citizens and a better economy in general. Point 3. A more educated, richer workforce will lead to less government reliance. Right now, according to the U.S. Bureau of Census report, about approximately 50% of Americans rely on some kind of government aid. That is a lot of people relying on government aid. With more money as a result of a larger supply of richer, more educated people, that much government aid would be unneeded. That's not all though. With free tuition, there would be a drop of unemployment, as a report from the Department of Treasury and Education saying, quote, "The earnings differential underestimates the economic benefits of higher education, since college-educated workers are less likely to be unemployed," unquote.
Judge ready recorded?
Opponent's ready? Give me a second.
Oh.
Okay, I'm ready. Sorry.
Ready. Good afternoon. My name is Alyson and I reject the proposition that college tuition in the United States should be free. The COM believes that this proposition is about the United States, and any other evidence regarding any other country should not be counted for the purposes of this round. If we can prove that free public colleges and universities in the U.S. will be be a detriment to the American citizens, then the judge should confidently cast a con ballot. Our first contention is that free college tuition is a waste of hard-working taxpayers' money. This means that taxpayer dollars are being used to pay for students who are not striving to reach their full potential. According to a report done in 2014 by Complete College in America, quote, the overwhelming majority of public colleges graduate less than 50% of their full-time students in 4 years, end quote. Free college tuition will pay for 50% of students who will waste time and money in college. Students do not take advantage of the great education found in colleges. According to the Lumina Foundation, April 2014, quote, a decreasing proportion of students are gaining the skills and knowledge that colleges have to offer, unquote. This means that taxpayers will be paying for 50% of students who take more time than necessary in college, and only to produce students who do not gain the skills and knowledge that colleges have to offer. Free college tuition will not benefit the American citizens because it does not benefit the American taxpayers. My second contention is that free college tuition does not benefit the low-income students. This means that many lower-income students who need the free tuition the most will not be benefited by free college tuition. According to the Institute for College Success and Access, quote, if we prioritize covering tuition costs, treating the other costs of attendance as less important, how long until the grants for the lower-income students, grants which currently exceed tuition, are cut, unquote. The government only has limited resources, and if we focus all of our money on free tuition for higher-income students, the current grants that pay for low-income students' housing and food will be cut. Low-income students can't even pay for expensive near housing and food costs. My third contention is that free tuition will not benefit the economy. Colleges cannot create a stronger workforce when there are no jobs for the graduates. There's an increasing number of college graduates who are taking jobs that require less than a 4-year degree. According to for the Center of College Affordability, quote, about 48% of employed U.S. college graduates are taking jobs that require less than a 4-year education. The amount of overeducated workers is growing substantially. The overeducated workers would have been better benefited if the time spent studying was spent instead climbing up the employment chain. This supports a framework because those who do not graduate from free college will not support the economy using their knowledge. Free college tuition does not benefit the taxpayers, the low-income students, and the economy. Because the con has proved to the judge that free college tuition will be a detriment to the American citizens, we feel that the judge should confidently cast a con ballot. Thank you.
All right, Crossfire.
15 seconds, please.
All right. Okay, so you're sit.
Full potential will probably be what they want to be.
Can people always have more potential, or
Of course, but it's
more?
up to them to decide what their full potential will be. You can't
So-
determine that.
how will college help you decide your full potential?
To get into the right major that you would want.
But there's always room for improvement,
Of course, and that's for them to decide.
so that's not full potential.
It is full potential because then they get to choose what their full potential is.
Because everyone could always learn more. Thank you. May I ask you another question?
Yes.
Who funds free college?
Taxpayers?
But isn't the money that the taxpayers go to the government, so isn't the government practically funding free college?
No.
But when we're paying taxes, we're paying a portion of our money to the government, so the government is paying for free college, right?
Yes.
So, thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Where's your evidence for the 2004 quote from Diane?
From who?
Didn't you say Diane in your first contention?
I do not believe so, no.
There was a quote in your first contention from 2004. Can you see, please?
According to the one done by the Complete College America, the overwhelming majority, that one?
I do not think so.
50% or the
Yes, that's it.
50%?
Thank you. Can you see, please? What was your third contention again?
My third contention again? Okay. Free college tuition will not benefit the economy. You said that college graduates are likely to be unemployed. Unemployed. Can't they be underemployed? Meaning that they're not earning as much money as they should. Thank you. I would like to request the seconds of that. Please stay on. 4 minutes, right? Okay, is the judge ready?
Am I ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay. My name is Madison, and I will be giving a rebuttal speech. Okay, so in your first contention, you state that free tuition would lead to a drop in hard work, leading to a waste of taxpayer dollars. This is false. Free tuition would cause schools to raise admission standards because of the lack of seats, leading to only hard-working students entering college. In colleges, there is already an overcrowding problem in the U.S., with between the years 2003 and 2013, enrollment increasing 20%, from 16.9 million to 20.4 million. With free tuition and more students pouring in every day, colleges would have to raise their entry standards, as a result, leading to only hard-working students getting in. But not only that, free tuition would lead to students trying to get into college working harder so as to pass admission standards. So as a result, you would not be wasting taxpayer dollars because only the people getting in would be hard-working students. Okay, in your second contention, you said that free tuition would lead to a drop in grants. If free tuition for low-income families, if free tuition is put into place, it would actually eliminate the need for grants, leading to that money being spent on grants going into colleges, helping to pay for better quality, better books, better teachers, helping to make the education that our students are receiving be boosted, creating a better, more educated students and a better economy. In your third contention, you said that free tuition would not benefit our economy. But as we stated in our case, having more educated people in our country would lead to them being able to go out, get jobs, boost our economy, and really, in reality, make our economy so much better. So to say that it would not boost our economy is simply not true. Thank you.
How much time did you have left?
I'm not sure.
2 minutes?
May I request 30 seconds per time?
Sure.
Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Judge ready?
Yep.
Opponents ready? Yes. Good afternoon, my name is Jennifer Nishimura, and I reject the proposition that college tuition in the United States should be free. Their first contention was that less student debt would equal a better economy. But we believe that student debt is actually good for the economy, according to whitehouse.gov, it states that student debt is actually good for our economy. We also stated that this proposition is about the United States. Finland is a completely different country and should not be used as an example for the United States. They also cited a Time magazine article and gave us their evidence card, but we would like the judge to discard the evidence card because it does not have enough writing before and after the evidence. Their second contention was that it provides equal opportunities for low-income families. But this is actually not true, because low-income families are currently able to receive Pell Grants and debt waivers, which would exceed the tuition cost, which means that they would also get housing and food. Low-income students cannot afford the housing and food, and so they would have to drop out of college because they would not be able to afford this. They also stated that it would help students to reach their full potential, but we cannot define full potential because full potential is determined on the person. Their full potential could be just working up the employment chain. Full potential does not equal a college education. Their third contention was that it would produce less government reliance, but we believe that this would produce more government reliance because it is just another welfare program. We pay our money to the government, who in turn pays for the college education. So it would just create more government reliance, as students will be forced to use the government for their college education. To rebut our arguments, they stated that they would raise the admission standards. But this would only include the high-income students. Free college tuition was supposed to cover all students, but it would only cover the high income because the high income can afford tutors. The high income can afford housing and food. They would be the only ones they would be able to study more, and while the low-income students would be forced to not have tutors and pay for housing costs. They also stated that this would eliminate the needs for grants. But the difference between free college tuition and grants is that grants exceed tuition costs, which pays for students' housing. They also stated that more education would boost the economy, but as we stated in our third contention, colleges cannot create a stronger workforce if there are no jobs for the graduates. Graduates will not be able to go in there and strengthen our workforce and pay for all the extra luxuries if they can't get a job. He also stated that a lot of employees are in jobs that require less than a four-year college education. For these reasons, I urge the judge to confidently cast a con ballot. Thank you.
All right, Crossfire. Set the timer and begin.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I have a question.
Yes.
How can you say that student debt is good for the economy when it is good for students when it's keeping thousands of students from getting jobs and progressing their lives?
It's not keeping them from... It is teaching them how to pay for their own things instead of relying on the government. After all, you said that we should not rely on the government, so they're not
But
relying on
as you stated in your rebuttal, you said that student debt is helping students. But student debt is swamping students with debt, making them not be able to go out, get jobs, and further our economy. How can you say that?
May I ask you how many years it takes for a student to pay off their student debt?
I do not know.
About 10 years.
Okay, and you're saying that we
20
should
years.
allow students to be stuck in debt for 20 years, not allowing them to further their lives?
It only takes $200 a month at 20 years.
But for 20 years.
And the 40 years that they work after that, they can save up for their retirement.
Right, they should.
That's twice as much time as it took for them to pay off the debt.
And so students from the age when let's say they get out of college at 22, they should be in debt till they're 42, not able to pay off this money? Really?
Yes, because they need to learn how to pay for their own education, not rely on the government, because you stated that people should not rely on the government.
No, we stated that free tuition would, because of people being able to progress their lives and have more money, would lead to them not needing to rely on the government for food and aid and stuff like that.
You said it produces less government reliance.
Yes, we did.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you stated that about the confining classes. How do we know that confining social classes is due to lack of education? How do we know that it's not due to lack of drive?
We have an evidence source that states that that people with high school degrees actually earn less than those with college degrees.
That doesn't prove anything.
Yes, because therefore, if you are not getting this higher education, you are not able to get out and you're making more money, right, as a result of getting out of college, right? And as a result of making more money, as opposed to just getting a high school degree, you are therefore able to further your lives.
You stated that poor or low-income children will not be able to get out of their social class because of lack of education, and you didn't provide a connection for that. How do we know that lack of education makes them confined to their social class?
Because, as I said, with only getting a high school degree, getting a college requires them to have more money, which allows them to move up the social ladder.
But how do we know that they just don't want to go to college? Because they can go to college if they want to. They can.
Are you
receive
saying that the
programs.
reason low-income families are not able to go to college is because they don't want to?
Yes, because they are able to receive Pell Grants and debt waivers
Okay.
and go to college for
Can I
free.
ask a question?
Yes.
You continually say that grants are so great. Well, why are grants better than free tuition for low-income families? Because free tuition would allow them to get into college. Grants only pay for a certain amount of money, right?
No, Pell Grants also exceed tuition and pay for housing costs.
It's not true.
Alrighty, let's hear Trinity's summary.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Judge, ready and recording?
Yep.
Opponents ready?
1 second.
Okay, ready. This is the last time I'm going to be speaking during this debate. And during this summary, I will prove to the judge, and I will prove to this audience and the bystanders that are listening that we did indeed have the best contentions and evidence compared to theirs. Our evidence stood out. My partner and I have proved throughout this debate that we were the dominant team. On our contentions, we successfully stated in our first contention that free tuition would lead to less student debt. They were unable to refute that contention. We refuted their questions in Crossfire with the rebuttal evidence. They attempted to refute our third argument within the rebuttal Crossfire, but corrected them in that Crossfire. My partner and I have made it clear why we should not have free tuition in colleges and universities. Now it is your choice, and we strongly urge you to vote for the con ballot. Thank you. You guys know what I meant.
15, no, let's take 30 seconds. 30 seconds for some please. Ready? Okay. Every debate should be judged on what is realistic, not idealistic. The pro believes in the idealistic that creating more free entitlements will force people to work harder. We proved that even when full-time students are paying for college, 50% drop out. They stated in the first contention that less student debt equals a better economy. However, how will it equal a better economy if there are no jobs for the college graduates to fulfill? This is idealistic. There will be so many more college graduates who will be underemployed or unemployed because there are no jobs and they will end up taking jobs that require less than a 4-year degree. In their second contention, they say that free tuition provides equal opportunities for low-income families. This is also idealistic because it will, instead of helping the low-income families it's supposed to help, it will hurt them even more in a way that they won't be able to get the Pell Grants and grants that will otherwise cover their tuition, housing, and food. They said in their third contention that the reality is that free college tuition will benefit the American citizens or will not benefit the American citizens or the economy. Not implementing free college tuition will promote non-wasteful spending and will allow students to be responsible for their banking accounts. The American citizen should not have to pay if a student just wants to get into college and then flunk out. Not implementing free college tuition will force the students to use their own money for their choices. We believe that the judge should not succumb to the idealistic thinking. The college tuition will benefit the American citizens, but vote for the con, which demonstrates a realistic proposition that will work in a real world. For these reasons, we urge the judge to cast a con ballot. Thank you.
All right.
The same thing.
3-minute grand crossfire. Set the timer for 3 minutes.
Okay, I got it. Judge, are you recording? Opponents ready?
Yes.
3-minute grand crossfire. I have a question.
Yes.
Where is your evidence card for the Lumedia?
The what?
Oh,
okay. I think it was in your first.
It was in your first contention.
Yes. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Madison, I believe you said something in your rebuttal about raising admission costs. Is that what you said?
No, I'm raising admission standards.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer, I remember your rebuttal. You stated something about raising admission standards would only affect higher income students. Can you explain that?
No, raising admission standards would only hurt low-income students.
Right, and
Because low-income students cannot afford tutors or extra studying, they have to work, and they can't afford the boarding costs.
boarding costs.
Boarding costs are not included in tuition.
Okay, I did not understand that.
If we have free tuition, will the low-income families, will the adults have to pay more money in taxes just to provide free college tuition for everyone else?
Can you repeat your question, please?
If we have free college tuition, will the low-income families have to pay more in taxes just to supply the money for the government to pay for free college tuition?
As a matter of fact, the free costs for free tuition that would allow us to have these educated students is actually not that large.
How large is it, please?
Okay. According to the Department of Education, education, it is about 62.6 billion, which is according with along with like the
Wait, 62.6
which is
billion
only
what?
what
62.6 billion covers what?
the cost for us to have free tuition, which is only about 10% of what is the current Department of Defense budget. So it is not impossible for us to be able to pay for students to get this education. Not only that, but having this free tuition would allow the money that would circle back around from these students better going out and being able to afford college and get better jobs would lead to us having a better
That's
economy.
good, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I ask another question?
Yes.
So isn't defense more important than free college tuition?
Wouldn't free college tuition benefit our economy?
Isn't protecting ourselves more important than
Right,
free college
but my
tuition?
point
Because,
is,
wait,
was
I'm not
that-
done yet. Excuse me. Because if we're not here, if we don't defend ourselves and we get killed, there will be no need for free college tuition.
My point is that because if we are able to pay for, if the taxpayers are able to afford for us to pay that much money, $495.6 billion for the U.S. defense budget, why is it would we not be able to afford for us to have free college tuition?
Because defense is a lot more important than free college tuition.
Thank you.
We would like to take the remainder of our prep time.
Okay, it looks to me like it's a minute and a half.
Yeah, that sounds okay.
Yep.
On my turn to.
Yes.
Okay. You should vote for pro in this debate because we have proven during the course of this debate that free tuition creates a better economy and maintains our basic country principles. In my opponent's case, they tell us about how free tuition would harm America and the economy, but in reality, it would benefit our country, and as we have proven today, and keep our economy afloat, and to maintain our country's foundational ideals. Our world leads to less student debt and equal opportunities, whereas theirs keeps us from progressing this great nation. In the end, this debate boils down to 2 points. The first critical point in this debate is that grants already help lower-income families. Grants only pay for a small part of college tuition. This limits families who cannot afford to pay for college, leaving many hardworking students incapable of furthering themselves and the economy. While free tuition would allow them to get that necessary education. The second point this debate narrows down to is that the cost of free tuition would harm taxpayers. As I mentioned in Grand Crossfire, we are capable of affording free tuition, and the benefits would greatly help our economy and our country, causing more educated students who will be able to get out there, get good jobs, and then that in turn would circle back to our economy, benefiting all of us. In this debate, you are choosing between imprisoning our great nation with no place for moving forward, stuck in a critical level of debt with an undereducated populace and a high level of unemployment, or improving our great nation with a better economy and a more quality-based education system that allows everyone to reach their full potential. It is for this reason that you should vote for a pro ballot in this debate. Thank you.
And we would like to request for the rest of our time.
Good afternoon. Your children's future depends on learning how to pay for the things that they want, instead of depending on other people to pay for them. We have proven that having to pay their way through college will ensure that these students don't waste other people's money and try their hardest while studying. The con side is demonstrate how free college tuition does not benefit the society and is not an asset. Because free tuition is not actually free, the government will need to take money away from current scholarships and grants and will greatly affect the low-income students. I would like to clarify that Pell Grants do currently exceed the tuition costs, which means that creating free college tuition will take away from that. The most clash in this debate came from the economy. We believe that we won this argument because we proved that there would be no jobs for the college graduates and that 50% of them do drop out. Their strongest argument was about the social classes and how children will not be able to escape their social class, but they proved no connection between the social class and a college education. They also contradicted themselves. Their third contention was about government reliance, but creating a free college tuition is government reliance. We believe that you should vote con because we proved that negating the college tuition will help the country as a whole. The judge should negate the proposition because helping the whole country is preferable to one that will only help the high-class children of America. We urge the judge not to vote for a proposition designed only for the high-income students and against the citizens.
For these reasons, we urge the judge to cast a con ballot. Thank you.